This tutorial is going to look at using conditions and the Gamemaker drag and drop interface, and it was requested by one of my students. Now, one of my students was working on a kind of like a collect 'em up game where the player moved around the screen collecting items such as keys. This isn't their game, but this is a very quick rendition I've put together. Now, I've got it really easy so I can collect the keys. But what my student was struggling with is once you've got all the keys, how do you put in an action to do something? And that's where if conditions come into. So let's have a look at how we've done this. Now, for this, I've used an object called object level details, which, as the name suggests, stores details regarding the levels. There are no sprites because all it does is it controls the mechanics of the game. It's partially complete at the moment. Whenever this object is created, I create a new variable called max key, and in it I put the number 3. Think of variables like storage spaces where the value in there, the data, can change. Think about it like a bucket. So in this bucket that happens to be labeled max key, I've put the number 3 in it. Now that variable there is to determine the maximum number of keys you need, in this case, to complete the level. So you need to collect all 3 keys before something happens. What I'm going to do is I need to set up another variable. I find that under control, click and drag it over, set variable. What am I going to call it? I'm going to call it key count. Key count stores the number of keys the player actually has at the start of the game. Makes sense to make it 0 because the player hasn't picked up any keys whatsoever. Now, what I've also got on level details, it's not required, but it's here for demonstration purposes, is a draw object. And draw does exactly what it says on the tin. It draws something. Before you use a draw, you have to set a color, you have to set the font that you're using, and then you have to tell it what to draw. In this case, I'm asking it to draw the variable of max key, so that'll be the number 3 at 500, 100. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it to draw key count 100 and 100. And this is here just for testing purposes, so you can see those variables set up actually on the screen. Okay, so the 0, top left-hand corner, that's the number of keys you've got, and max key is the number 3. Now, at the moment, the key counter is not incrementing. 1 is not being added to it because I haven't told it to. So let's do that bit now. Right. I've put the collision detection with the player on object key. You could do it on the player. And all I've done is when the key and the player collide, destroy the instance of the key. Nice and simple. What I now want to do is I want to change the value of my key count. Okay, now it says applies to. You have to remember which object your key count, your variable is in. So use the object here, object level details. Key count. What do I want it set to? I want it to set to key count, so whatever value it is now, plus 1. So if key count is 0, you add 1 to it, it's 1. If key count is 1, you add 1 to it, it's 2. Let's have a look, see if that works. Now you've got to remember, at this point, I haven't put a condition in. All I'm doing is counting the number of keys I'm picking up. And you can see that number value in the top left-hand corner incrementing each time. It's now 2 and it's now 3. So we're nearly there. Okay, the final thing that I need to do is once you've added 1 to key count, I need to put in an if statement, a question, and we will find the questions under the control option. And here's all the questions that you can use. For the if statement, we use a question mark and drag that across. And this is where you put the expression. So what I want to do is I want to check if key count equals max key. So again, select the object. Where do my variables live? Object level details. And then I type in the expression, making sure I don't make any typos. Now, the key thing with if statements is you have to use double equals, is equal to. That's what the double equals means. So you're basically setting up a condition to say, if key count is max key, if this is true, what do you do next? And what we're going to do is we're going to just change it rooms. We're just going to switch rooms. I've got 2 rooms at the moment. Room 0, which is the play area, and then room win, which is just a room with a message that says win. So let's see, fingers crossed, that that now works. So my Red Bull will now move across. I pick up the keys. Key count is equal to +1. There you go, 2. So hopefully, drum roll, key count equal to max key, which is 3. That's made it true. So it's gone to the next stage, which is the room win. And that's how you set up a simple if statement. My name's Dan Hunter, and this has been a short tutorial into ifs and conditions using Gamemaker 1.4 and the drag and drop interface. Thanks for watching.